We'll be dealing with a number of questions already submitted to us as we go on through the presentation. If you'd like to submit any additional questions, please use the chat function. Most of you have already done that just to let us know that you're receiving, but if you do need any more information about how to do that, it was in the email that you received from us earlier. And we will aim to deal with all these additional questions at the end of the webinar if time permits. But if not, we're going to be collating the questions from this morning's webinar and from this one, and we'll provide answers to you afterwards. It will be in the next couple of days when we've just had a chance to collate everything. So a number of questions that we've received from you, and I'll just deal with some common ones now before I hand over to Mark from Rocker Creative, and he'll be able to deal with the specific questions as he takes you through TT Leagues. So a number of questions have concerned the link between the new TT membership platform and TT Leagues. TT membership is our new platform provided by Sport80 to replace TT365 membership system for next season. So any data that you see in TT Leagues will automatically pull through from TT membership, and all current members who are in TT365 at the moment will be pulled through into TT membership. So at the start of next season, all of those people will receive a communication from us prompting them to pay their subscription, and that's the same that's happened in previous seasons. Club secretaries and league administrators will still be able to register players as they have in the past, or to set up new clubs via TT membership. And anyone who currently has administration rights in 365 will also have those administration rights in TT membership. So it should all be relatively seamless. As in the past, members will have to pay their subscription before they're eligible to play in local leagues. And just so you're aware, this won't hold up any fixture generation. So as long as you know which teams are going to be in your league, you can generate the fixtures and individual players can be added to individual teams later on. So having covered off those general questions, it's time to hand over to Mark from Rocker, and he will take you through the system and answer any questions that we've so far received. And remember, what you're seeing today is already a live system. It's fully up and running. This isn't a video representation. It is actually live. And so with that, I'll hand over to Mark to take you through the tour.
Thank you very much. Let me just share my screen. Hopefully everybody can see that. Right, I'm basically just going to go through the list of questions that we've been asked already, just to clear up anything that wasn't understood during the video, and hopefully give you an overview of the system. I'll start. One of the early questions was regarding clubs, so I'll start over here. And here, these are all the clubs that are imported from the TT membership system, so you won't have to add any of these, they're already imported, but you will have to link them to your league. In order to not show all the clubs when you're setting up teams and everything, we limit this to sort of ones that are just part of your league. So to link a club to your league, you can tick the checkbox and you will see that some clubs here have little link icons. From this, you just press the link, and now that club is part of your league, which you can then use to create new teams. So you're not getting over too many clubs when trying to search for these. Similar to the club linking, one of the queries was regarding venues, which unfortunately all the venues will need re-entering into the system, but this will be sort of global and can be shared between leagues. Again, clicking the checkbox will allow you to link a venue that may already exist that somebody's entered in into your league, so you can add it to link it to a team or link it to a competition in order to, when generating the fixtures. As you're going to have to enter new venues, this can be easily done by clicking the plus button and entering just the name. You can create a new venue and without any other details, just so you can sort of get the process, get your fixtures set up, and then at a later date, if and when you've got those details, you can add the address details, the sort of geolocation information, so you for the mapping side of things on the public website. So it's just to make it as quick as possible when first setting up the system. It's just a matter of entering the name. And that will check to see if that name already exists and possibly suggest that you link that venue to your league if need be. While we're in the manage section, one of the questions that we got were regarding teams and whether a club with the same team but different members in different leagues can coexist. And in short, yes, this is the case. When teams are created, they're created independently within that specific league, regardless of which club. So you can have the same team name in multiple leagues attached to a single club with different members, and they won't be any mix between. It's all created independently. We move up. While we're in the manage section, we've also got the members area, which at the moment, a lot of the member information is edited from within the TT membership system. You won't be editing any member details from within TT leagues, but when the full migration takes place, you will be able to see more information than just the name. You will be able to see TT ID and date of birth, an email address, just basic information that's ported over from the TT membership system. If we move into one of the test leagues I've set up, we've got a few questions regarding match formats, match point system. So the bottom here, we've got the point system, and quite rightly so. There's not really much description, so somebody asked what each point system was. These are based on the current point systems, so type 1, type 2, and I think goes up to type 10. These are a variation of whether you points for one drawn loss, or whether it's points on a set basis, so 10-0 gets you 4 points, etc. To make it a little bit easier when selecting the different types or cycling through them, this right-hand side here at the moment, it's not got anything in, but as you cycle through them, it will show a bit more information, a quick guide on what that point system is for. This information will be also included in the setup guide that we'll be producing when you're setting up the league. And so hopefully that information should help. We'll also, like most of the elements, when we're nearing completion, we'll be going through and adding tooltips, which will help guide you a little bit more as and when you're filling out the form. While we're on this page, we got there's quite a lot of queries and questions regarding match format. A lot of so these are ones that are currently in the system, and we can extend this to quite as much as one. The way that it's been configured, basically all you have to do is give us some information regarding whether home team player 1 plays away team player 1, and vice versa. For all the different sets, and once we've got that basic configuration, we can get the format type set up, and then that will be used during the fixture generation. The plan is to push out a Google form, which will hopefully include some questions that you can submit your match formats. So we can get them in from the start of the system. If we go down some more. One of the questions was regarding the match card layout. At the moment, this is just ported over. So for people that already use this, they'll understand what it does, and basically allows you to show the match card in a different format on the public website. What we've got here is 3 options, and the default is already selected. So that will use. So if you didn't take advantage of this functionality and you just use what was provided, the default layout will already be set. Sticking to the competition edit section, one of the questions was regarding the fixture generation. We were using the round robin fixture generation just to get fixtures generated as quickly as possible in order to get some of the other function, but we've now just introduced the standard chart fixture generation, which I understand that most of the leagues take advantage of in order to best set out the matches for them. And I'll be able to show you an example of this. So if I go to the fixtures, because we had a couple of questions regarding it. This is the fixtures using the new fixture format, which is laid out based on the sort of the team ordering. It's my understanding that where the teams are ordered, make sure that they play opposites during the fixture generation routine. So this is the team list that you set up at the beginning, which if I jump onto one of the other leagues that's not being edited. So, yeah, what we've got here is the team selection, which will be used for fixture generation, and you can just drag these around, and then the ordering of this will be taken into account when generating the fixtures, to make sure that you've got the home and away games opposites for the first and second half, etc. Anybody that uses this functionality will understand what this method is. While on this screen and regarding fixtures, one of the questions was about different fixture formats based on 10. You might have a 10-team format, but want to do it based on 12, just so you can have some bye weeks for different teams. Well, what we've got in the system, rather than asking you the format type, you can add your own bye teams with a description and more information. And then this bye team is used as part of the fixtures, which I should be able to show you if I go into. As you can see here, these are bye weeks based on the teams that have been set up previously. Back into the competition. So these fixtures have been generated, and there's a couple of options here that we can put some queries that have come out of this. One of them being, can you reschedule fixtures? And this is not a problem. You can either unschedule the fixture, which will sort of put it into a holding week without a date, so nobody gets confused on when the matches are happening. Or if need be, you can edit the fixture directly and change that straight away, just using the calendar and select a specific date and time, and this will move into the specific week. From here, we can also add skip weeks, which we can give it a specific name. And one of the queries was whether you could add a fixture within that skip week. And what it'll do is it will separate the week blocks so you can clearly see that it is a skipped week, but also in this week 3 that there is a fixture and a match taking place. If I just double check, I'll just jump to one of the other competitions with the fixtures. So we had a few questions regarding match cards. I have to select the correct one because I wanted to show how the reserves worked within the system, as it's been a big question throughout. And as you can see, when I bring down a drop down, you have your team members that are in the specific team. And at the moment, what we have is a reserves list, which are the team members within the club. We've had a lot of questions regarding Step Up, which will be introduced for the live date. So there will be a new competition configuration section with the Step Up details over whether they move to move up a team or whether they can use different certain orders. And that will all be in place. At the moment, the list of reserves is all the other members within that club, which you can select for that specific match. This will update the sets accordingly. Once a match card has been completed and confirmed, you do have the ability to edit it. It's not, I am not able to show it today, but you will be able to edit that and reject the match card. So the captains either have to update it or the admins will have to log on and make sure they make any modifications before resubmitting the match card. One of the other questions regarding the fixture list is regarding conflict resolution. We've got a system, we're currently in talks with other league managers to figure out the best way of doing this. So the fixtures will get generated and based on team information that we will store, some of the fixtures will be flagged with a red block, just so that league managers can understand that there's a possible conflict with another team in a different division, and they may have to change different dates and times, and that will be introduced when we go live. We are also going to introduce a print-friendly style. What this will mean is that when you go to print, all the buttons, all the unnecessary information, the menu details will be hidden, and you'll just get the raw fixture information with space to enter scores if need be, and a little bit more information that's required. Same with the ability to export this information. This will all be done through sort of print-friendly screen options. We go back to the league. One of the other queries was regarding the ability to edit or override for specific divisions. This is going to be done by the edit button here, which will allow you to, for each specific division, edit match card information, how many times you play each other. Generally, most of the competition options that are set globally, you can edit them per division if you've got any specific options. But you've got different leagues set up basically from within a division. We'll be able to sort that out from this. In terms of content on the site, we won't be able to show you today, but you will be able to go to the website section and add documents, media, images, which can be used throughout the public front end and coexist with the league information. Finally, I think I've gone through most of the questions. One of the latter questions was regarding the support that will be on offer. And the idea is to use a platform called Zendesk, where TT will become first line support in terms of trying to help answer any specific questions or help or anything like that. And then we will be sort of introduced as from a technical standpoint to further that help. The plan is to release a number of videos and guides on how to get started. So hopefully this won't be a problem, and you should be able to just get kick-started with adding your leagues, fixtures and teams. I think I've covered most of the questions. If anybody wants to suggest otherwise, or if anybody's got any more questions, more happy to continue.
We've had a few questions coming in actually, which we can go through now. Thanks to everyone who sent something. We'll take them more or less in the order. And one or two of these might have been answered. Obviously, if they were sent early during the webinar, we might have since answered them, but we'll go through them all in any case. We were asked about leaving gaps in fixtures for Christmas and cup competitions. I assume that the way we showed to skip a week has answered that one. But
sorry to butt in, Paul. I can extend this a little bit regarding that sort of thing. We've got the skipped weeks for specific divisions and fixtures blocks, but we've also introducing, I can't show you today, but when we go live, we've started work and nearly completed on a calendar overview. So it will be a league calendar. You'll be able to set Christmas weeks, holiday weeks, like you mentioned, cup weeks, and for every league that gets created, it will take those times into consideration and skip the week automatically. So you won't have to generate the fixtures and skip the weeks manually yourself. It will already be taken into account during the fixture generation.
And that calendar function as well, you can add dates such as the league AGM, which was a question that we were asked this morning.
That's right, yeah.
We've been asked about associate members. They're not eligible to play in league competitions, so they would have to be paid playing members in order to play in local leagues. And can a single club be linked to more than one league? The answer to that is yes, isn't it, Mark? But is there anything more you can say about that?
No, so that's correct. It's if I go back to so this club list here is the club list for your league, and anybody has the ability to tick the box to show all clubs. This is not created clubs from within TT leagues. This is from TT membership system. So it's in sync with that, and this is all the clubs that exist within TT. So you will be able to import them into your league.
We had someone ask you about the actual font size appearing to be quite small. That is something that you'll be able to deal with within your own web browser by zooming in. There is sort of some dead space around the sides, as you can see, so there will be space to zoom in a bit more.
Depending on the screen size, I'm using a Retina Mac. So what you're seeing here is quite a high-res screen. If you've got an iPad or a standard laptop screen, you won't have as much white space. The font will be naturally much bigger.
Okay, we've been asked in terms of the test next week, when teams are input, will that information be retained going forward to the start?
Unfortunately, is my understanding, because the TT memberships system won't be going live until the 1st of July. This will be a sandboxed version, which unfortunately all the information that will be entered into this won't be transferred over to the new live system.
We've been asked about changes in personal information. So if a member has a new email address or phone number, whose responsibility, that will be the individual member's responsibility to go into TT membership and change. We would rather they handle that themselves rather than calling us. I suppose in extreme circumstances we would be able to change things, but it is the individual member's responsibility to keep their personal details up to date. And of course the league administrator won't have the passwords for each individual member in any case. And the next question, can points be manually amended? So if there's any committee decisions, point deductions for rule violations or anything like that. This was something that came up this morning. Mark, can you just go through that for us?
Yeah, of course. It's not here to show now, but to give you a better idea or quick idea on where it'll be, it's on the league standings here. When you hover over, a new option will appear on this left-hand side, which will allow you to sort of customise that specific team. So you'll be able to deduct points or add points for that specific team.
And the next question is, how do we make sure teams with the same venue don't play at home on the same night?
This will be part of the conflict resolution, but also based on the, it's my understanding that based on the current the chart fixture method, you can move your teams into a particular order, so they don't, they're always opposite of each other when the fixtures are generated.
Thank you. And can each division have different numbers of teams? Again, I suspect the short answer to that is yes.
Yep. Yes, that's right.
And are match times all set by default, or can a match time be linked to a club or a team?
The match time is can be set by default at competition level or team level. So if I go into a team, so what we have here is during the game week, we have the team's default night, which can be selected here. And we also have their the home time, so what time they would prefer when they are at home. And that gets passed through to the fixture generation. Of course, if you want to change the time of a specific fixture, this can be done. I think I've got into somewhere again. So yeah, you can set the time of a specific fixture from here if need be.
Okay, thank you for that one. We've seen how we can shuffle the teams around, but how do you know which team to put in which position so that they're playing on alternate weeks? So if they're playing the same venue, for example, how do you know what the starting position will be?
This team list, it's, as I mentioned before, it's taken from the ordering of the. I don't know what the standard chart matrix is called, but it is based on this, which I can send out the PDF if required, based on how the alternative weeks are shown. What's not on here is any sort of indication of that on screen, which could be introduced, rather than it thinking everybody knows that that's the way that the fixtures are built. So we can add an indication of the opposites and who will play at home and away on this screen.
Remember, we are creating videos and user guides to help people navigate through questions just like that. So we'll make sure that that is included. A couple of people have asked about how you log in, and if you're looking at the public-facing website, is there a button on that where you can click to log in as an administrator?
Yes, there'll be a login button from the public website, which will allow you to go directly into the management section of that particular website. Each website's given a subdomain, which is the URL that you enter in the address bar, and we can customize that to whatever the league manager wishes to be. We can even link a completely custom domain if required.
We've also had some questions about the configuration of the public-facing website, and specifically, does the Twitter box have to be there for everyone?
No, this is the idea of this from the website section, is that you can customize what is visible. I think on the public website there's a sponsors box, there's a social media box. We only displayed Twitter on there at the moment, but the idea is you will be able to display Instagram and other social media. But that is sort of it's up to the league manager whether that's included or not. It's not enforced, or if somebody decides not to add their Twitter handle, it doesn't show a blank box. It won't be there on the website. So it is optional.
Well, thank you. Can we just say a little thing about the different levels of rights and users? So you've got league admin sitting at the top. Who else has rights potentially to deal with certain functions? Are there club administrators, team captains, etc.? And what functions can they carry out?
The plan at the moment is not to go as quite granular with the permissions as before. But we will be adding layers of roles in terms of the full league admin who will get access to everything. You'll get divisional admins, so they can update leagues, fixtures, match cards, teams within a specific division. You then will have team captains, which have the ability to update match cards or unschedule a fixture if they can't make it, or let the admin staff know. And then you'll just get your normal player, which will be able to possibly update the match card through the app if required. All these permissions are set within each independent league competition. So you'll be able to say who needs to update the match cards. At which level is it? Captains, admins, or players? And same with the sort of divisional aspect of things.
And that actually answers another question about how approvers are set up for scorecards. There was a question raised this morning as well about some people having rights to approve scores in certain divisions only, and that's entirely possible. We've had a few questions about rankings. That is going to be dealt with in phase 2 from September, but we will have the final position from TT365 at the end of this season as a base to go forward. We have had a question about cup competitions. So this particular league runs a cup competition on a basic knockout format. Is there a way of using TT leagues to set that up?
In the first instance, in phase 1, that's not going. The cup competitions is not going to be implemented. But I think you may have to butt in here. I think the plan is to allow in phases, the next phase and the roadmap to allow more tournament-based. So it's not just leagues. You can add one-off tournaments, whether that be a single day or over the course of the season.
We've been asked if information currently held in 365 will be lost. No, it won't. We are pulling that off, backing it up on a... Jo, do you want to...
That information, we sent a guide out on how to export that data that can then be uploaded into the system.
Okay, one bit of 365 which will be lost is old news articles. We have no way of saving those, but I think most of the articles, or at least some of the articles, will have appeared on our website and will still be there. If a team drops out once a league is underway, can that team be removed easily without affecting the setup or having to go through the process of re-inputting all the scores?
I'm not able to show you this process, but just the idea will be you will swap them out for one of the bye teams. So if I move to this screen here, on this screen here, you will get a new icon on this right-hand side, which will allow you to swap out for a bye team. So if they do drop out, you'll be able to, similar to adding bye weeks for certain players, you'll be able to swap that team for a bye team, and it'll swap out all the fixtures that team were playing for that bye team. So it makes it as seamless as possible when people drop out during the season. And then if required, if someone decides to come in for that other team, you could even transfer that team for the other one, if need be. So yeah, it makes it a lot more seamless. You haven't got to reset all the fixtures. You haven't got to reset all the competition. You can just swap out those teams and you can continue the league. And all the other teams will continue to have got the points that they won from the team that's possibly dropped out. That helps.
Yeah, thank you very much. Could you just explain the procedure for entering a match walkover? So if a team is a player short and some of the matches within a fixture are conceded.
It's not on this screen, but to give you an idea, it will be in the match cards page. From here, you'll be able to select which team is the walkover, and the other one will be provided the relevant points based on the competition setup. So it'll be from within the match card.
Okay, if a league has several divisions within the same tier, so I don't know, maybe you've got Division 1 North, Division 1 South, is there a function that you can group those teams by geography or travel time, or would that be a manual process?
Unfortunately, at the moment, that would be a manual process. If somebody wants to give more details regarding that, I'm sure we can. It's definitely possible, so we can add it to some sort of roadmap. But in terms of getting this out for release, that has not been scheduled to be put in there.
And when will we be able to create club web pages?
It is my understanding that you are looking to push people to use ClubSpark for clubs, if I'm correct.
Yeah, that is correct. So this is obviously the TT League's website, so it's a level above clubs, but we can talk to clubs individually. If any of them have any questions about that, please contact us. Can we add videos onto a league's homepage?
Yes, you'll be able to, through the content section, be able to add like YouTube links. It's basically when adding content, what you are using is a HTML editor, so you'll be able to insert media, and it will link it to that content page. Again, it can be images, videos. You won't be able to upload that video and host the video through this system. You can host images, but hosting videos is sort of a different ball game, and we suggest using YouTube or Vimeo or other video providers that you can upload to.
Okay, just going back to a team that drops out of the league, you mentioned, Mark, that they would retain points from the fixtures that they'd already played. Some leagues might use that system, but other leagues will actually completely expunge their record, so they won't retain any points. So can the system deal with either of those, or would that become a manual process?
No, we can deal with that. That's not a problem. So when transferring those teams over, we can ask the question and say, do you want to clear out the points or leave them as is? Yeah, I think that one of the main things is whether the points that were won from other teams during those games, are they cleared as well? And I think that's one of the big questions. Or is it just the points of the team that you're transferring?
Okay, well, we're pretty much getting towards the end of dealing with all the questions. We've had one or two questions about data, and I think it's probably better if we come back to people via email with explanations about that, because there's been a guide that's already gone out. We can repeat that and we can update it and explain a bit more about how data will work. But just to reiterate, of course, if people are in TT members, then they will, TT membership rather, their information will be pulled through into TT League, so they will be available to enter against a team. Again, we've had some questions about ranking audit trails. That's going to come up a little bit later down the line. And another question that's just come in is, at the end of the season, can we archive the league? Mark, I think that one came up again, didn't it, this morning? So can you say a little bit about archiving results and tables, etc.?
Yeah, so once a competition's completed, it will still appear on the website, and you can move it into an archive list. It can stay in an archive list, or you can switch it back into a normal list, and it will appear on the website. If you click that is visible on the website, it will still appear in an archive list, or you can take it off completely. It will stay in the archive, and it will be there as long as you require it.
Just going back to the subject of data, we've some leagues have downloaded data from 365 as per previous instructions. Can you say anything about how that will be uploaded into the new platform?
what we are hoping to do is build an interface that's just sort of everything's in one place, so you can update that information. Unfortunately, there's with the methods, I think the other way of doing it, I think, was to add the content onto a page and make it downloadable as a PDF, if I remember rightly.
We will come back with more details about that. It's quite a complicated process to try and outline within a couple of minutes during a webinar. So please bear with us on that one, and we will answer these questions fully. If there are no further questions, I think we've dealt with everything. Apologies if anyone has been missed off, but we will go back over this and make sure we're answering everything. It will take us a day or two just to collate everything, but by the end of this week, we will get out a full summary of what we've seen and discussed here today. So obviously now the next step is that a link will go out into the test phase next week, and we go live on July the 1st. And remember, we're not just throwing the ball to you on July the 1st and saying that's it. We will always be here to listen, to respond, to iron out any flaws that might become apparent or any different ways of doing things that some leagues might have. It's a very responsive system, and we are here to help. We will have the user guides and videos, and we'll have a help desk as well. So you will not be alone after July the 1st. And with that, thank you all very much. Thank you to Mark, and good night.